Hi, I'm Grace and today I'm going to be showing you the mise en place for an Eggs Benedict. Now, I'm going to be explaining the hollandaise sauce and the poached egg. And I'm going to be explaining hollandaise first because that's what you should be making first. Now, here are some preparation tips as I explain these ingredients. Two of the most important ones, well, actually two of the only ones that are prep, at least based on my experience from making Eggs Benedict. Melt your butter first, because it takes a while to cool and you don't want it to be an extra headache when you're boiling your water. But this is a pound of butter that you should be using. I mean, that's just how much is used for this recipe. Could always lower it according to if you half or double your recipe. I also have a notebook full of notes of each recipe that I make, and it's important to keep one. That way you can remember what exactly you're saying, what exactly you're doing. So that way you don't have to learn from memory. And I'm actually going to be copying this in another book, so that way the notes are clearer. These are just my scrap notes. Next thing is the eggs. I would separate, especially in the beginning, separate the egg yolks and from the egg whites and put your yolks to the side because you're going to be using those yolks. Do that before you boil the water. That way, like I said, it's not an extra headache. But you would need about 3 for the hollandaise sauce, and just as many as you would be preparing for the poached eggs. And now for the spices. You'd be using ground black pepper, some cayenne, and lemon. But I have lime right now. That's a substitute for lemon. But lemon is what you would need in the recipe. And also, finally, for your hollandaise, the reduction. And that is what you're going to be adding to your yolks. Because you're going to be focusing on the boiling water. I'll explain that when talking about the poached eggs. And you're going to be focusing on that when you're going to be focusing on your reduction as well as the boiling water when you're mixing that reduction and egg over, and you're also going to be focusing on it when you're making the poached eggs. So that's why it's important to have these prep things. But as a substitute for white wine vinegar, a good one is red wine vinegar or lemon juice, but that's in a pinch. So that's the ingredients for the hollandaise sauce. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, as well as your vinegar, you're going to be using water and some white pepper. Because it's an emulsion, it's supposed to, the egg and the butter, is going to separate from the vinaigrette, and that's why it's important to, keep it level. But, okay, so now I'm going to be explaining the poached eggs ingredients. So I have this glass ramekin here because what you do is you're supposed to tilt the egg over the boiling water. And if you don't have a glass cup then a glass ramekin is also good for that. And also, don't forget your meat. You can also use, you can use spinach like I've used in other videos, but right now I have Canadian bacon. So it's always good with that. And finally, your English muffin. You could use any type of bread, but the ideal is your English muffin. And that's the mise en place for a hollandaise sauce and your poached eggs for your Eggs Benedict. Thank you.